This is the On Guard Rock Solid, and they claim that it's a impenetrable fortress against even the most determined thieves with angle grinders. Bet, we're gonna test that. But first, what does this lock actually offer? As you can see here, there's a nice rubber coating around here so it doesn't scratch the bike. They advertise quattro bolt locking mechanism, so that means it actually attaches to the bolt here in 4 places. It does have a very nice fit and finish. It has those fancy keys. Anything can be picked, but most thieves are not picking, they're grinding. And the coating that's on this thing is really rough. It's almost like a file. I bet we could file metal with it. Didn't do any damage to the lock. Definitely started scraping this thing. So I guess the idea is this is almost like a file. It's resistant to a cutoff wheel. It'll actually damage the cutoff wheel. Let's see if that's the case. So my bike's secured to the stairs here in my office, and keep in mind, this is a $250 lock. This is the highest security that On Guard offers, and they said impenetrable force. That absolutely decimated my cutoff wheel. Look at this thing. And this big, heavy rubber coating actually stopped the angle grinder from going any further. I can't cut anymore. Let's take it to the bench and look at the damage. So let's cut away this rubber and see what kind of damage we did. It didn't do any damage. I wasn't expecting that. Without this rubber on it, this would scratch the bejesus out of your bike. The crazy part is I could now use this lock. You know, maybe I'll scratch my bike very badly having cut away this rubber here, but what am I supposed to say here other than it does what it says? This is an impenetrable force against cutoff wheels. Now, that was a run-of-the-mill cutoff wheel. They have other cutoff wheels that are made for cutting harder things, but just seems like if you know how impenetrable this lock is and you see one, you might want to just move on to another bike or cut all the things off of the bike that aren't locked down with this lock and steal those. So as I said, this is a $250 bike lock, and I don't know, it might be worth the price. That was really impressive. These are 2 separate products from 2 separate companies, both claiming to be better tire levers. They reinvented the tire lever. But are they better than the best tire levers ever made? That's just my opinion. These are Pedro's tire levers. It's $5 for a pair, and I think they're the best ever. Let's start by seeing what each of these respective companies claim about their tire lever. This is the Tire Glider, and it's $15. Okay, the Tire Glider, it's spelled T-Y-R-E, so you know it's from Britain. And they show a mountain bike here, so we're not just talking about those old style tires. Effortless tire changing. Enhanced safety, protect your hands from bike spokes. I've never gotten injured by a bike spoke, but okay. Ultimate ease of use, experience unparalleled simplicity with the only tool that fully clips onto the rim during installation. Okay, I got a tire right here, let's try it out. So we'll start with an easy tire and then we'll move on to a hard one. Let me show you how a tire lever is supposed to work by using one of my Pedro's levers. You hook it under the bead of the tire and then clip it to a spoke, and then you can insert another tire lever to pop the bead off. And then you can slide it down and the tire comes off. As you can see, this tire comes off very easily. I could do it with my bare hands. I could do almost any tire with my bare hands. Let's try the Tire Glider. Okay. So to take off the tire, it's a lot like a Pedro's tire lever, I guess. You pull the bead back, you insert this, and you push it on the tire. That's not gonna work with all tires. Some tires you need 2 levers and you need to pop it from 2 places. I am very skeptical. So here's a big locking bead tire. How are we supposed to use this to pop this tire off? Now, first of all, you need to break the bead with your hands, or bead breaking tool. See, a normal tire lever you insert like this. This one you have to kind of go like this. You have to pull the tire back and kind of reveal the bead. Okay, I got it in. Does this offer an easier experience now? I've never seen this work with a locking bead tire. Appears to be working. Ooh. Oh, okay. That's actually a pretty tight tire and it's locking bead. I've actually never seen another tire lever work like that. I guess because it's so wide, it's able to do that. But is it actually easier? I think using 2 tire levers to pop it off, to me, might be easier. But can it put the tire back on? Yeah, I guess sorta probably works better on some wheels than others. Yeah, it doesn't make it any easier for me. Let's see if the Tire Monkey, which has a big picture of a gorilla on it, performs any better. So the Tire Monkey looks a little bit more like a traditional tire lever, but it does have this rim hook here for putting the tire back on. Let's try the old style tire first. So we gotta pull it back, get this in here. I'm not crazy about that, but once you have it back, it's gonna catch on the inner tube and absolutely decimate it, but there we go, tire comes off. So let's try and put it back on. Lock this onto the rim, and then we should be able to just push it back on. Yeah, on a tire like this, the kind of tire you'd have on a toot around the block kind of bike, honestly, I think the Tire Monkey is a little bit easier to use and simpler to understand. All right, locking bead tire, let's give it a try. Not really a fan of putting it in this way, but you get the hang of it. This is a little easier because it's a little bit smaller. I suppose if I push hard enough, it would get this off, but nobody actually takes off tires like this unless it's, you know, just a loose normal bike tire with an inner tube, something you'd find on a beach cruiser or just a standard consumer bike. If you're into any kind of like serious road biking and mountain biking and you have tubeless tires with locking beads, you would never take a tire off like this. But this actually does appear to put the tire back on to a point until we get to this really tight spot over here. And then I would say we probably have to go back to our Pedro's levers. So these are kind of nifty and they do work for certain tires. I think if you're like my mom and I'm teaching you to install a tire on a relatively normal bike, either of these might be a good option. But if you're a serious mountain biker or gravel rider or road biker, you're gonna have other concerns like not damaging the rim tape, not pinching an inner tube if you even have one in there. And you may be dealing with tires that are a lot more stubborn than what you would normally find on a bike. And so you're gonna wanna use something like this that has a nice soft end that's not gonna damage the rim tape, something that's more like a standard tire lever. Yeah, the inner tube is messed up completely. This is a helmet. It's called the Beam by Virgo, and it's not a mountain bike helmet. This is made for commuting. So does it look a little bit excessive and attract attention? Maybe, but otherwise, I only have good things to say about this. I'm serious. So if you're riding around town, why would you spend $300 on this big crazy helmet instead of like $130 on this? Well, this helmet is made for e-bikes. E-bikes go really fast. People are taking them up to like 40 miles an hour, and it's getting to the point where a little half shell is just not sufficient. Yeah, full face helmet. Now you can see why this is actually a much slimmer, more practical version of this. This looks like kind of what you would have if you were riding a motorbike, and that's what e-bikes have become, especially in cities. So they've more or less addressed everything. First of all, wind and dust getting in your eyes. They make it really easy. You don't have to wear goggles. They have a chin bar. It doesn't look exactly downhill rated, but it's certainly better than not having a chin bar. And they even have a rechargeable USB-C integrated light in the rear. It's also worth noting they made it so you could hear what's going on. The ears are completely open. It's very comfortable. Actually, the entire helmet is extremely comfortable. Once I put it on, I honestly didn't want to take it off. I think it might legitimately make me safer too. It's a MIPS helmet, it covers more. The visibility is incredible, much better than other full face helmets. Is it gonna be a future where everybody's wearing helmets like this? I don't even hate the way it looks. Now, the Beam helmet by Virgo is pretty expensive, $299. Most people are not comfortable with spending that much on a helmet. But if you look at high-end full-face helmets for various sports, it's kind of right in line with the pricing. It is also very premium. You get that light on the back and you get this integrated blast shield. I think it's a lot nicer than having to wear goggles. And were you to wear a helmet like this when commuting, you're not gonna go and work in an office after that. It's gonna mess up your hair. It's all sweaty from the last time. It's just not made for a city. This is kind of a white collar helmet for somebody who's taking out a rental city bike or their own e-bike, and then they get off in their office clothes and go upstairs. This hasn't been covering their ears. They're not wearing some crazy lenses. It's all right here. I guess well done. This is the Topeak tool card, and they got me. I bought it because it looked so cool. I had to see what it was about. It seems to be just a basic set of wrenches. I think this is pretty cool, especially if you're trying to build a compact toolkit, because I like dedicated wrenches, loose wrenches. They're much easier to use working on your bike than would be a multi-tool. And this has a lot of what you would need. It's got normal hex wrenches here, and then it's got Torx wrenches over here, so you can actually do some specialty stuff. They also give you a little extension here with an 8mm on the end, so you have 1.5mm all the way up to 8 in this kit. All the wrenches are color-coded and very clearly labeled, and then there's a little ball end so you can get in at weird angles. So what do we make of this? At the end of the day, it's a little case containing $42 worth of wrenches that don't have a lot of leverage. They got me. I think it's pretty cool. I like the form factor. I like that everything's labeled. I like that it's tight and secure. I like that you can throw it somewhere and have all your wrenches. And I like the fact that it's really premium and looks cool. This might be a good product for somebody. I'm going to leave this somewhere. It's not going to be in my workshop. I have much bigger wrenches with more leverage, but I don't know. I think I'm going to throw this in my glove box or my backpack, somewhere that I need a set of wrenches. This is actually really cool, and I think it would make a good gift. There are many cheaper ways that you can get a little puny set of wrenches, but actually the fact that these are hex and Torx combined with all these little features, it's not that bad of a value. This is supposed to make your bicycle sound like a motorcycle, and when I was a kid, people did them with just a card. So you take out one of the more useless cards, like this little instruction one that it comes with, or maybe the Joker, which you may or may not use. Then you'd use a piece of tape to fix it to the fork or the seat stay so that it would hit the spokes and sound like a motorcycle. And the faster you would go, the more like a motorcycle it would sound. Okay, so let's try the Spokester. It's supposed to just clamp to the fork. That works pretty nice. And it's got a lower rumble. It sounds a little bit more like a motorcycle. Okay, it's $11.99. Bicycle deck is $5, and you can play cards with it and use like the Joker or one of these things. Anyway, this sounds more like a motorcycle. It's water resistant, and it's a pretty clean installation. Now, it's also worth noting that you can tune the sound by turning it. You can have it at an angle so it makes a little bit of a lighter sound, and then you can have that real motorcycle roar. But it just takes some of the charm out of the putting the card in the bicycle spokes. That's part of being a kid. It's a rite of passage. Ruin a deck of cards to make your bike sound like a motorcycle, which is of course pointless, but it's fun. Still, it's really hard for me to be mad at this product, even for $11.99. It's just fun, and it doesn't promise to be anything it's not. It's super honest. Spokester, bicycle noisemaker. I can't be mad at it. I've gotta love it. It works, even on this little tiny bike. I give it a thumbs up. This product goes on the accessory mount of your bike. An accessory mount is like a bottle cage mount. Most bikes only have one of them. It's made by Neutron Components. Honestly, I thought this thing was kind of dumb for a split second until I remembered what we also reviewed from Neutron Components, this little bleed cup. Who would carry around a portable bleed cup that has oil in it? Well, somebody who rides a lot, a bike packer, a gravel racer, somebody who goes super long distances and they don't want to get stuck out somewhere. That's the kind of person that's gonna have a lot of accessory mounts in their bike, and they can put this on there. And what's inside is pretty cool. I've never seen it before. And so, maybe you're outside on a bike like this, got tons of accessory mounts, and you need a new set of brake pads. You got that now. See this little 3D printed cartridge here has brake pads, it has 2 spare bolts for SPD pedals, and it has chain links. And I'm sure if you have a 3D printer, you could print up all sorts of things here, which is what I like about it. Now they make available on the website an AirTag holder and then a multi-tool. I don't really think either of those are useful because there are much better products in the market that do that, but I've never seen anything that attaches to a bike that carries brake pads other than maybe a tool roll. And I don't know whether they intended it this way, but I see this as something that you could tinker with yourself if you have a 3D printer. Print all sorts of different things that go into that canister. And if you look at this closely, it looks like Neutron Components 3D printed this part of it as well. Now this part is called the Hitchhiker, and this is the spare parts version. This is 25 bucks. Seems kind of fair given what things are priced at these days. This is for a very specific person, and given the other types of things that Neutron Components offers, I'm not so surprised by it. I saved the best for last. What is in here is not unlike the Sea Sucker, which is a high-end bike rack made for like sports cars, and it's suction cups to the roof, except this is $125 and I got it on Amazon. All right, we've got a suction cup here for the rear. We've got this bad boy over here. This is where the fork mounts into, and that's it. The back of the bike gets latched down here, and the front of the bike gets latched down here. Now, they do include several adapters in here for different sized axles, but I actually bought a through axle adapter here because it's made for quick release skewers. Let's put my bike on top of my truck. Okay, so in addition to this being a $125 suction cup rack, it's also quite compact. It's one of the most compact bike racks you can get. It could fit underneath the seat of your car. The way it works is, these little yellow things are protectors, so we take them off. Then you have your suction cups. So we're just gonna place this down on the hood. Okay, I guess my hood's clean enough. Okay, so we put it way out here maybe. Now, there are these little pumps, and you can vacuum pump all the air out to get it to suction cup, and then the little red indicator should disappear when it's suction cupped enough. Okay, I guess I trust that. How do I know this is the right distance? Probably gonna have to adjust it. So we pump this down. Now here's the really scary part. If you wanna take it off, you know how? You just pull that little tab there. That doesn't make me feel very safe, but if you pull on the actual suction cup, it is quite strong. They say it's 200 pounds worth of force. I don't know if that's strong enough, to be honest. We're gonna have to adjust this through axle adapter a little bit. So if you're putting anything other than a quick release bike on here, it might take some finagling. Now, of course, I had to put an adapter on here to get my bike to fit. And is that gonna be okay? All right, I better take my water bottle out so that if it falls out while driving, it doesn't scratch my hood. That would be dangerous. So we tested it, and I feel like we gave it a pretty good test. Like, we gave her, and this stuff is not perfectly clean. And if I look here, none of the reds are showing. That's a good thing. It's brand new. So what do you get with a Sea Sucker rack that you don't get with this? You would pay upwards of $600 for that. Well, for one, you know they tested a lot. They tested the piss out of it to insulate themselves from some kind of high profile accident. With this, I don't know, Suns or Zaus, depends on which way you read it. I don't know them from a hole in the wall. Also, it doesn't fit through axles natively, and so maybe with a couple of spacers, we could get this to fit a little bit better. But honestly, it didn't really feel that sketchy at all, and they seem like really nice people. They include these very nice covers for the suction cups. They include this cleaning kit, and they even include spare pumps in case one of these goes bad. That'd be a pretty scary day. And so I'm thinking about it, I'm like, the thing seems to work just fine. Hey, my cameraman just got a new Subaru that he doesn't have a bike rack for. And so I said, hey, Curtis, do you want to take this for free? And he was like, I'm good. And so what it all comes down to is how much you value your bicycle, your vehicle, and other people. All in all today, I'm impressed with almost every single thing I saw. Even this thing, although I'm probably not gonna use it, it's got a Velcro strap holding the rear wheel on. I'm glad you could join me today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and if you didn't, I hope you at least found this video entertaining. Thanks for riding with me today, and I'll see you next time.